Hello, everyone, and we would like to welcome you on our webinar where we're going to be talking about bottom hole pump unseating with the rod jack technology for hot oil or chemical treatments. My name is Tim Haronoff. I'm a co-owner and CEO of Rod Jack Solutions LLC, and along with myself, I have Rick Young, our co-owner and Rod Jack inventor and Chief Operating Officer for Rod Jack Solutions LLC. Hello, Rick. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hope you enjoyed your long Labor Day weekend.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Hope you too. Okay, so
You
the
bet.
webinar our webinar goals for today is we created that webinar for oil and gas operators utilizing sucker rod pump systems. Uh, Also, some operators who might have casing packer assemblies in their sucker rod pump uh, downhole assembly, and also some probably for some service providers performing hot oil work and chemical treatments who would like to improve their efficiency, um, and add something new to their daily operations. And we believe that the outcome for that webinar would be discovering new rod jack technology to improve efficiency of of the jobs and finding new ways to improve current operations with our rod jack technology. Uh, just a quick introduction. My name is Tim Haranov. I have over 20 years of oil and gas industry experience, primarily in oil and gas production operations and engineering. And our co-host Rick Young. Rick, as I said, he's a rod jack inventor and has over 40 years of oil field experience in worksite supervision, completions, and well servicing. And Rick, he's a U.S. patent holder for his rod jack technology. Here's the webinar outline for today. We'd like to discuss just why do you need to unseat the pumps, and also we will touch on direct and reverse flushes for hot oil and chemical treatments. We will discuss casing and tubing volumes. We'll bring you the comparison table, and we'll talk about economics uh, using both direct and reverse flushes, and also we'll be talking about the potential some downsides of hot oil work, potential formation damages if the reverse flush is not completed properly, and and then we'll be um, discussing how you can use those jobs with rod jack technology. And at the end, we'll have Q&A time, and we will share some contact information with you. I hope you enjoyed that webinar. With that being said, Rick, I'll hand it over to you, and yeah, you can go ahead and just explain us why do you need to unseat pumps.
Just basically, it's all about fluid, how much fluid is pumped. Unseating a bottom hole pump is to be able to eliminate the amount of fluid pumped, but to be able to um, do the same type of job. So that's kind of the whole idea of being able to get fluid in your tubing, whether it's hot oil, chemical, de-wax, or as such. So direct versus reverse flush. Reverse flush, if you are pumping the hot oil with your pump jack going, hoping to get some hot fluid up the tubing where it's going to serve its purpose into the pipeline, still, hot liquid. That's kind of the whole idea behind that. If that works, that's great. The cons to that are larger fluid recovery, more time to recover that fluid, less time to be making actually money with the well. The direct Down the tubing, basically the pros are, you basically can do all of this work with less volume of fluid, whether it's hot oil or dewaxer. Um, the cons are, the well could be down for half a day or a day. Next slide. So this slide gives you an idea of the amount of fluid you would need, basically to fill um, a casing annulus or a tubing if that's the type of work or type of job you're going to do. Basically, Tim has outlined the amount of money that requires to do that job and to recover it going forward.
Okay.
Chemical treatment of the well utilizing the rod jack. Yeah, basically, it's a very simple system, the rod jack, as you can tell, how it sits on the well. We will come in, we'll unseat the pump, and if you've got a short volume in your casing, your tubing will go on a very hard vacuum. You can actually chase that vacuum with your required amount of chemical, place it where it needs to be, basically reland your pump, and then now you're letting your chemicals soak for the required time, and you're not pushing that stuff back down the hole. The next day you're pumping it back out.
Yep.
Um, hot oil work, conventional reverse hot oil work performed by pumping hot oil down the casing. Exactly. I mean, most of these wells that I've worked on, not everyone, but most of them will go on a hard vac once you start pumping fluid into your casing. Um, sometimes you'll get circulation, but majority of the time you won't get circulation. Your formation will start to take the fluid, and that's where guys like to run the pump jack if they can to get that hot oil up to surface where it's going to do all its service and basically out down the pipeline and maybe help with some pipeline issues. Uh, the hot oil batch will reach out to the pump intake, and that's the hopes. You betcha that once that hot oil gets to gets to the pump intake, the pump jack running, it will now bring that hot oil into the tubing and to surface. And yeah, you know, definitely a well-knowing operation that has worked for many years. So successful hot oil work is when the whole volume of hot oil is properly circulated, the casing annulus to the tubing string. Absolutely. Yeah, you run your pump jack, you get that hot oil up into the tubing. And again, you don't want to pump too fast off the hot oiler, and you want to kind of calculate your numbers, what your pump outtake or your pump intake and outtake is going to be versus your hot oiler. So again, the operator must monitor the liquid discharge temperature to ensure proper circulation. Then the other thing is the guy needs to kind of be careful at surface that the possibility of stuffing box, maybe passing some of that hot oil and making a bit of a mess.
Yep.
Potential formation damage. Now, this data has been collected over the years, and it has been noted by many, engineer reservoir engineers and whatnot. So, what we're trying to do is, not basically get away from this whole operation, but kind of make it easier for oil producers to maybe take a different step, to move forward in a different way of removing the wax, but formation damage occurs when hot oil pump rate is higher than the bottom hole. Pump displacement is crucial that operator, pumper supervising the hot oil work. Formation damage causes the bottom hole pump running dry, burning, packing, making mess roughly the next day or two for work is completed at the well.
Yeah, so we would just like to express that if you pump too fast, basically in exceed the pump displacement, so and your hot oil pump rate is higher, so the hot oil will just probably there is no way to go rather than into your formation. So that's the slide here.
Yeah, and I use a rule of thumb that I try to, when I'm doing a hot oil job, I try to pump as slow as I can because, of course, your heat transfer will work better. So,
Okay.
so here we are with pump reseat and quality control. So after hot oil chemical treatment is completed, um, so two different scenarios here. If it's the chemical treatment, we'll re-land the pump once our right amount of chemical is spotted. Allow that time to soak overnight, whatever. Basically, with the hot oil treatment, we re-land the pump and then basically get the well rolling again because that hot oil job has actually dissipated the paraffin. Now, for the hot oil chemical treatment complete, lower your rod jack, reseat your pump. You betcha. That's in both cases. Reland the pump jack, upper rod clamp to the carrier bar. So ideally, that would be the scenario for doing both jobs because either you're going to pump the chemical out or you're going to start your well up immediately after hot oil job. Um, you know, so the lower the rod string all the way to the pump to ensure the pump is seating. That's another question that we'll have at the end here on reseating the pump and the risk versus the reward in that. Again, we will perform a dynamometer testing to ensure this will be done before and after to ensure that you get a really good pump card. You don't have no drag, potential paraffin drag on your rod strings. Yeah, we can do all of that.
Yeah, and
Very
this card
very
so in that example it shows that a little bit tap at the bottom of the stroke. So yeah, we definitely make sure that you don't have this one. You'll try to avoid that. Okay, thank you so much, Rick, for explaining that to us. And this is Q&A time. So, and I have some questions for you.
perfect.
Let me just go back to that slide with top and bottom uh, pumps. I just like to you a little bit elaborate a little bit on what's the difference between top hold down and bottom hold down pumps, and how like this affects the whole unseating and reseating thing.
Sure. So the bottom hold down and the top hold down are basically designed for the bottom hold down is designed for I guess the deeper wells. The top hold down, I think you work in an area of around 7,000 feet, somewhere in that where um, the effects on that bottom hole pressure, I guess, can affect the pump barrel, the pump efficiency, and all of that. That's not something I want to get into. That's something that a pump expert can explain better. But I know I've talked to guys and they've explained that to me. The bottom hold down also, it can be a bit of an issue. If you've got a well that's making sand, scale, whatever, and you've got sediment that settles, if you see where the bottom hold down sits, is basically your pump cups, your seating cups are basically not too far away from your pump intake. So if you look at it this way, your seating cups are basically at the bottom end of your pump, and whether how long your pump is, whether it's a 16 foot, a 20 foot pump barrel, 2 inch pump barrel sitting inside 2 and 7/8 pipe, you can see the amount of sediment and whatnot that can settle between the exterior of the pump barrel and the interior of the tubing. So once you get that going, that's why a flush is always a good thing. Is with those bottom hole down, the flush is a good thing all the time. With the top hold downs, you don't have to worry too much about that sediment settle because there's that vortex going on. Once you're bringing fluid back into your tubing, yeah, it's pretty much pretty much that simple on that end of it. Although I've actually stripped out more bottom hold downs than I have basically top hold downs.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, another question I have for you, Rick, is like you saying, like what for unseating pump, it's good when you have a high casing fluid level. Uh, why? How high casing fluid level actually affects the well treatment?
If you've got a high casing fluid level like that, it's obviously on a tight formation, which is fantastic. If you're actually trying to do a full column hot oil, that's definitely great. You should be able to actually, if you take your fluid shot on the backside and your well's holding fluid that high, that's a pretty good thing for setting up a hot oil because generally you're going to be able to circulate right around. And if you have to increase your pump rate to actually establish circulation, that's great. Now, for us, say for us, if we wanted to do the chemical treatment end of it, that's not so great with that high casing fluid level because if we go to unseat the pump, we won't really have a whole lot of basically, we won't have much of a vacuum on our tubing when we unseat it because it won't take long for the well to equalize. So then, of course, we're basically either squeezing our chemical treatment into the tubing or basically opening up the casing if we can get fluid to surface on the casing side and spotting it that way. It's not that it can't be done, it can easily be done. It just for our scenario, unseating, spotting that chemical treatment is much better if we have a lower casing level.
Okay, so you're saying that the lower casing fluid level you have, and once you unseat the pump, the higher YouTube effect and higher vacuum you will have. Is that
Absolutely,
correct?
absolutely. Yeah, you bet. 100%.
Okay.
It will. The lower the casing level, you unseat that pump, you're going to get that U tube. You can create that vacuum on the tubing, which in general helps us on surface with gravity. We can spot our chemical with ease. And really, if you think about it, Tim, these
Mm-hmm.
jobs, if the majority of the well is or the field is set up like this, these jobs can be completed in a couple hours. You can have that chemical spotted within a couple hours and move on to the next one. If this is I know we do the oil field does a lot of batching down the casing. They'll pump a bunch of condi down there in hopes that they can get it pumped around to help clean their wax issues in the tubing. So they do batches that way. This could just be another nice setup for a schedule with a batch in the tubing that basically gets pumped out. That dissipated paraffin, the treatment does not go back into the well; it's pumped out.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that makes sense. And as we know, most wells in North America, they usually pumped off, right? So that's
Absolutely,
usually you have your
your casing is, yeah,
yeah.
100%. Your casing
Nobody
levels are
likes nobody likes water flood. We know that for sure.
oh,
Yeah. So and probably the last question I have for you, Rick, is what is the risk versus reward effects unseating pumps with the rod jack?
well, that and I mean that's a pretty simple one too, and I mean I think it scares a lot of producers off. Uh, the risk is is definitely basically damaging your cups, your pump seating cups. And, lots of people like to run, maybe one Teflon, then they'll run a rag cup, and then they'll run another Teflon. If you run just all Teflon, you're eliminating a lot of cup damage by unseating and reseeding. And if you wanted to actually get into a schedule that works for this, then maybe going forward when your pump is damaged and you have to pull it out of the well, maybe it's maybe time, if you're thinking of maybe going to this operation, it's basically setting your well up for unseating your pump, as often as you have to on a schedule. So that's basically the risk versus the reward. Now the reward is to come in and do this with the rod jack. Is it's uh, basically you're doing all of this unseating on battery power, solar power, right? You're basically eliminating, carbon, carbon emissions. Basically, you are eliminating time, manpower. This is a simple one-man operation that can come in and unseat that pump and do your service or treatment for you in short order. And then of course the risks are, if you basically have damaged cups, then you've got to bring a rig out. But I look at it this way: if I can't get my pump reseated, well, the rig's coming out the next day anyways. You're really not going to be, out a whole lot of time, right? Or down a whole lot of time. You got a rig coming out the next day to pull your pump and set it up properly, I guess. With the right type of seating cups.
Yeah, yeah, and like just doing dynamometer testing, you can tell how. I mean, dynamometer pump card will tell you the your pump condition, and then you can actually see like a worn pump or something. You can actually just doing dyno, and you'll be aware if your pump is damaged or not. Just doing dynamometer testing over
Well,
your regular basis.
and I like that, I like the idea of being able to do a dyno before you do your job so that you can
Mm-hmm.
actually see the effect that paraffin has on your rod string. Your dyno will tell you your drag, everything like that, right? So you do a
Yep.
dyno before and you see that you got these problems, right? Now you come in and do your chemical treatment. You get that all done. The next day you come back in, you do a dyno, and now you prove that there's no more drag in your rod string. You cleaned up your paraffin issues. But once we can, when we can confirm the pump, the efficiency of the pump is great. Our biggest problem is to reland that pump and get a pressure test on the tubing. That's going to be the most important thing for us. With the rod jack completing our job, is getting a pressure test on the tubing, and making sure that pump is reseated. That's the reward that I get when I reland a pump and I get a pressure test on that tubing. That makes me feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and that's I mean, before and after, if you have your pump card, that's how you control your quality, right? Quality of the services. And
Absolutely.
we just wanted to remind that we can equip every single rod jack with load cell, and you can have this handheld device, and you can do dynamometer testing with it, or you can just to have your weight indicator. Use it as a weight indicator for unseating pumps. All right,
Yeah. This
thank you,
this
Rick, for that.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
I just got to say this, Tim. This
Mm-hmm.
unit goes hand in hand with the rod jack. This is, since we've introduced this with the rod jack, this makes it so much easier, even for just going and doing soft taps. I mean, so many. I mean, this is probably something we'll elaborate on going forward in our webinars. But to be able to put a well on a soft tap with a digital weight indicator versus guessing on inches, and then happen to go back and do this scenario all over again and lift it 2 inches or lift the rod string 3 inches. This is a one shot. You do it with
Yep.
this, with this load cell here, and yeah, it's great. I really love it.
Yeah, thank you, Rick, for that. Yeah, thanks for your feedback. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, I work with a lot of various load cells and various brands. So, and yeah, and just we just introduced what is built for purpose. So, and I'm glad actually that
Absolutely.
it works very good with the rod jack. All right. Thank you, Rick, so much for that. So I think we answered all our questions for today's webinar. And at the end, in the end of our webinar, we'd just like to share our contact information. Once again, we just want to continue our or start our conversation with you on social media. We and we would like so you can reach out either on cell phones or emails, either myself or Rick. And please like this video if you watch it on YouTube. We really appreciate it. And follow us on LinkedIn. Just search up Rod Jack Solutions LLC or Tappet Inc. This is Rick's Canadian company, and Tappet Inc. Tappet Inc. is a Rod Jack manufacturer in Canada and US.
Yeah, we love feedback. We love feedback. So we encourage anybody to, step in and give us some feedback. We're willing for dialogue. We love it.
Yep. All right, with this beautiful sundown in Oklahoma, we'd like to thank you, everyone, for your time and for being with us today. And thank you, Rick, for your time
Yeah.
answering all the questions. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Deb. Bye, everybody.